Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining. So today's session is all around our CCH Personal Tax Automation tool. So just a little bit of housekeeping, if I could ask. Thank you very much. So we're aiming for about 45 minutes. Please submit your questions at any time using the Q&A box. If you'd like to chat to each other, you can do so in the group chat. And you will have heard as you entered the room that we are recording the session, so you will be able to review it afterwards. So all that's left for me to do is to just manage stuff in the background. So I'm going to hand over to Mohammed and Dorcas to introduce themselves.
So I'm Dorcas Bussey. I'm one of the senior product managers here at Watersco, responsible for our personal tax product and also making tax digital for it as well when that comes to life. Been part of Watersco for a couple of years now, but been in tax and accounting technology for goodness 7+ years. Started off my career in tax technology and kind of just stayed here. So I'll hand it over to Mo.
Thank you, Dorcas. Hi, so my name is Mohammed Sadat. I'm here at Walters Kluwer for about 2 years now, and I work in the product management team, overseeing the compliance portfolio of our products. So looking at our on-premise solutions and making sure they're always compliant, and also looking to transition and move to the cloud, some of our newer products, and also specializing in looking at some automation with AI and how we can kind of bring some of that into our product portfolio as well. So I'm hoping to kind of talk through some of that today. I've been in the tax and accounting industry for over 13 years with various firms. And I joined Watersco a couple of years ago, and I've been in product management in tax and accounting, in property tech, and also MarTech as well. So with that, I guess we'll kick off with our presentation today. So I'll start off around AI and automation, and then Dorcas is going to move on to more specific use cases for personal tax as well. So to start off with, just want to talk through and kind of leave this quote here, which is, I know CPA.com is an American kind of company. However, their CEO said, "We believe generative AI's impact will be much more profound and happen at a lot faster rate than any other technology advancements, such as cloud computing." So it's something you must have heard a lot around, and it's here to kind of stay and help improve and kind of bring more kind of efficiencies and automations. So I'm going to be talking through around that. So some of the bits to kind of explain as well. So currently there's a prediction that by 2027 there'll be $297 billion worth of spending on AI software globally. There's also 77% of business leaders currently are stated that Gen AI has the highest impact on their business from all emerging tech that they're looking to implement for the next 3 to 5 years. And we did some surveys with our Watersco user group as well. And what we found is 88% of our accountants are intrigued and interested in using Gen AI technologies such as Copilot assistants to use for their firms going forward. And some of the concerns that they're saying is, even though there are benefits, security, reliability, and accuracy are things that are top of their mind and they need sort of assurance on. So I'm going to be talking through over the next few minutes around what Gen AI is and how to tackle some of these things. So you'll have heard about Gen AI. It's a practice that's around setting a set of algorithms that can be used to create new content. So you will have seen that it's being able to kind of create new text, coding for our developers. It creates new images, and it can also do audio and videos as well. What we've seen is the generation of content is driven by something called prompts, which is natural language, and you just ask it how you want to do something. So the more specific a prompt is, the more better it is at kind of creating that task. And prompts can be described in the way you want to have a certain output or the context of how you want to do it. So again, the power of Gen AI is that it not only creates new information, but it knows who you are as a user and is able to kind of adapt the responses you're getting through. So this sort of technology in our product set is going to be revolutionary in terms of how you kind of interact with software going forward in the future. So the more specific and nuanced somebody kind of puts these prompts in, it can give better results. So in terms of where does Gen AI come into the whole AI practices? Well, AI is not something that's new. It's been going for a long time. and it's a way of machines, how it can self-learn and become more intelligent. So this has been going for a while. And then after that, machine learning came in, where you were able to take supervised and unsupervised data, and you could use that to make predictions around that data as well for the future. And then it came around with large language models and deep learning around data models and labeling and things like that. And now you're kind of hearing about Gen AI and large language models. And this is where it can now produce new text, and it can also then produce new things like audio visuals. So this is what we're seeing now with Gen AI, is just a subsection of what's happened in AI over the last many years. And it's kind of the next version. There could be future iterations as well, as it becomes more sophisticated in the future. So in terms of Gen AI, what we're seeing with some of the use cases is using artificial intelligence to create new things, as I was mentioned. So it can help create new text. So it understands human languages. It can help with conversations, summarizing that, translating some of the conversations that are happening, and text that you read as well, making it easier. It's also able to produce brand new images and videos. It can also interpret images and videos and create visual tables, flowcharts, worksheets, various things like that. You've also got sound, so it's able to kind of listen to somebody's voice and able to then work out what they're asking for. It can look at anomaly detection. You can also look at listen to your speech and then turn it into text, and then use AI to kind of summarize that content. So there's quite a few use cases here. You can capture key phrases and topics of conversation very quickly and easily as well. And the other bits that we're seeing is around computer code. So AI can be used to write programming code. Anybody can do it, so you don't have to be trained up in a specific programming language anymore. You can get people that are kind of cross-trained, and they can work more kind of independently. So this is something that's a really powerful use case going forward. In terms of what does this mean then for the accounting profession? So what we're seeing is that there will be some usage around reporting and insights. And with this, we're looking at predictive analytics to help clients make data-driven decisions, include forecasting financial trends, identify potential risks, and optimizing strategies for growth. Analyze large volumes of financial data as well, quickly and accurately, and financial analysis. The next thing we're seeing is around compliance. So this is around keeping up with ever-changing tax codes and regulations while minimizing errors. Tax researchers can then return data from human-edited tax-specific content as well, and it provides authoritative answers from trusted sources for you very quickly and accurately as well. The next bit we're seeing is around client communication. So this is around using client insights, understanding what clients' needs and behaviors are from the conversation. So just not just looking at the words, but looking at the tone of things. And then from that, you can tailor your services. So one way of doing this is through chatbots that we're seeing. It's powered by AI. You can handle routine client conversations and inquiries, so it frees up staff to deal with the more complex things. These chatbots can also be available 24/7, which some of your staff might not be, and it can enhance like client satisfaction, document your messages, and various other things as well to save time. And finally, firm efficiencies as well. So it's able to kind of look at cost-saving opportunities, financial planning, and risk management. So before I move on, there's a couple of polls. So if you can start the first one, Steph. Are you using AI currently, and what are you using AI for currently in your firms? That'd be quite useful. So there'll be a poll come up on your screens. If you can just type in there what it is, and some of these is going to help us to kind of inform what we do in the future with our sort of roadmaps and things as well. And then after that poll's done, Steph, I don't know if you want to start off the second poll as well. We've got another poll around which areas of work would you be willing to trust and use AI with. So it'd be really useful if you can look at that. There's a few that we've put down, and it'd be good to kind of get your thoughts on where you might be willing to use AI. Okay, so moving on into privacy implications. So whilst Gen AI does have a number of benefits, there's also some risks that are associated, and you need to be aware of that because you're working with sensitive data, being in the accounting field. So what we've got is some of the risks that we need to kind of consider around data privacy and security. So when data is entered into Gen AI tools, It could be shared with tool owners, raising concerns about how the data is protected and where it goes. There's reliability and accuracy around what's produced as well. So it might not always be perfect or accurate. So there's still a role there to make sure that you're looking at the data, you're making sure that you think it's the right thing, and it's more of a guide rather than using it as kind of gospel at this present moment. You have fraud risks as well, around potential malicious use. So people can go in and create fake information, phishing attacks, which can be quite damaging. There's ethical and legal concerns. So the output of Gen AI can be biased because it's learning on what's out there in the public domain. So the more of this that comes in and it kind of gets self-trained, there could be some kind of ethical concerns about what's being created. Is the information accurate, or is it just using a bias? So it's something to be aware of. And the over-reliance on technology, there's a risk that becoming too dependent on these Gen AI outputs, like I mentioned, which can lead to errors in reasoning, into financial facts if not properly supervised. So it's important for firms to have proper governance in around supervising this sort of areas, and human oversight is always required when integrated Gen AI. So it's going to help, it's a tool, but it's not going to eradicate and get rid of all human kind of jobs, is what I'd kind of suggest and say. So I'm looking at some of the polls, which are great. I can see some results coming in around where people would see and use. It's quite spread in terms of where they use AI, but compliance is coming out quite high with 62% of you saying you'd like to use AI for some sort of compliance assistance, which is great to see. So in terms of what are we doing at what are we doing here at Wolters Kluwer? So we've got a set of values when it comes to how we use AI for our portfolio. So while we see the benefits around the automation, we want to make sure it's human centric. So you want to use AI with a purpose and only use it when there's a reason that it's going to help accelerate and optimize some of the things that we have in our products. So not everything needs AI on it. Some stuff can be done through other mechanisms, but when there is an area that we can see that it's going to help, enhance your client relationships, we'll put it in. There's trust and transparency as well. So like I mentioned, we're going to be very clear about how we're developing using AI tools, how we're using your data, making sure that it's the highest quality and curated domain content that we're giving back to you. So we're not just going to put anything back out to you. There's going to be robust testing around this. And we're going to make sure that the AI that we use is going to help solve customer challenges, streamline your processes, and enable better accounting for you guys to do to provide more value to your clients. So that's kind of what we're looking to do from our values around AI. And in terms of what we currently got going on, so as Wolters Kluwer is a global company, we operate in many countries. We've got 25 use cases currently being tested and validated globally in quite a kind of finalized state. We've got CCH Access and Microsoft Copilot in the US that have created a prototype. It's actually a market now, which is a conversational way of interacting with workflows. And CCH Answer Connect is a way where accountants are also able to use Gen AI technologies to get compliance answers quicker and easier. And in the UK, we have a number of pilots that we'll be running as well that you'll be able to partake in. So if we start off poll three, I've got some of the pilots that we're looking to kind of start over the next coming months, and some are already at quite a good progress stage. It'd be great if you could tell us which ones of these would be of interest, and we'll let you know when we're at a point where we can get you involved and you can partake in some of these pilots. So, Steph, if you can start off poll 3 as well, that would be great. And now what I'll do is I'll pause. If there's any questions, you can put them in the chat and I'll have a look at them. Otherwise, I'll pass over to Dorcas.
Thanks, Mo. I'll be saying next for us to progress on to the next slide. So in terms of where we are with the challenges that exist within tax today, there's quite a few. So the first one is around process improvement. So there are, as a lot of you know, very much a lot of mundane, manual and time-consuming repeatable tasks that need to be done in order to onboard clients, to start off their tax process, to start off their tax preparation, to file the tax return, and also some of the post-year work, such as tax advisory and some of the risk mitigations for the next year. And that takes up a lot of time. We surveyed our accountants and found that accountants today typically spend about 80% of their time on just the data collection process, if we want to just be laser focused on one specific element of the tax preparation process. So that includes things like preparing the data requests, sending the data requests off to your large network of clients, receiving that information back, aggregating it, transposing that information into the tax return, and where you're getting in the data in a physical form, i.e. a paper copy, there's also an element of digitizing those documentations and storing them onto a device before you can even start the data preparation into software. If you click on next, the next challenge that accountants face is around the corporate demands, and this is tied in quite closely with the process improvement. And this is around practices looking and identifying how they can improve their processes to be able to drive operational quality and also efficiencies using intelligent automation, Gen AI, machine learning or robotics to gain some of that efficiencies and improve their tax compliance cycle. Benefits of doing so and improving the processes is around, one, generating more clients, because you're able to alleviate some of the stress on the staff, because a lot of the manual stuff is being automated. Therefore, you've got a little bit more capacity to take on new clients. And that in turn also means additional revenue growth for your firm, which in an era that we are now, it's very critical for firms to be able to do more with either the same amount of staff that they have or equally less staff than they have. Next item is around the customer expectation. So this has drastically changed in the last couple of years. The role of the accountant has essentially expanded due to clients' increased challenges when it comes to managing their personal finance as well as their business finance as well. And also the increase in complexity when it comes to the compliance in general. So the introduction of making tax digital is one driving factor that we can call upon when it comes to additional challenges of getting the data and preparing it in a really short window of time than what you are historically used to. So that introduces additional challenges and areas of optimization that needs to be looked at. 41% of larger firms, so in Waters Clear we classify large firms as firms that have a revenue of more than 5 million. Their SMEs expects their TAs to play a larger business advisory role for them in the future. That's on top of their basic compliance needs. The next element is around the regulatory pressures that we're seeing being applied to taxpayers. Tax authorities themselves are internally adopting technologies and improving their processes themselves to catch anomalies when it comes to tax filing, to get information in quicker, but also to reconcile information. HMRC internally within the different departments are always reconciling data that they get within HMRC or things like the DWP to make sure that the information that's being submitted within the tax return marries up. And lastly, the challenges that are being faced is around just the advancements that we're seeing in technology. One, we've seen a massive surge and growth within the AI space in a really short amount of time, with ChatGPT being launched, and also the advancements when it comes to RPAs as well. They're not only super powerful as compared to the last couple of years, but they're also very much more accessible to the everyday Joe blogs to be able to access and implement within their personal life, but also within their businesses as well. If we look at RPAs, so robotic process automation, As example, this is changing the way practices manage their workloads, how they bill for projects, and they offer a wealth of value to clients by removing a lot of those manual tasks, such as data entry, allowing accountants to get back to advising. So practices like yourself can kind of fall into two categories when it comes to adopting technologies. You could essentially be innovators in the space, and be early adopters, or kind of wait until everybody else is adopted, seeing how it can be applied in principle, and then jump on a train later down the line. But the general consensus when I'm speaking to customers, and a quote that I like to refer to a lot, is a tax practice needs to be able to go on a journey of technology transformation, or you will fall behind. And that is both from a business sense, because you're not scaling as you should, because you're still doing some of those manual tasks, not alleviating some of the stress and capacity to be able to take on new challenges for your firm. Next slide. So when we talk about specifically, I want to touch on RPAs. So Mo talks about AI in detail. RPAs in this instance are essentially what we call robotic process automation. So it helps in a wealth of things when it comes to improving process efficiencies. On its own, RPAs are great, but when combined in with AI and artificial intelligence, machine learning, it's a real big force of change. And it is the future when you combine the two. And we term that as intelligent automation. And it essentially implements a human-like form of service within your firm. And some of the key elements around RPAs is that, one, they are technology agnostic. So it's really simple and quick to be able to implement it within your firm. RPAs can work across legacy systems, they can work across custom applications, they can work on desktops and any other type of existing IT platforms, and any technology platform that can be utilized with RPAs can be essentially used from start to finish when it comes to end-to-end data collection process. And these bots can run for 24 hours, 7 days a week in the background, executing 99% of the tasks with 99% of the accuracy, helping to improve the customer experience, and also helping improve some of the experiences for accountants themselves that are working on tax returns. It's also non-intrusive, so RPAs can leverage other application software through the existing application interface. So you don't have to go through a massive change management project when it comes to integrating RPAs into your systems and processes. There's not really much or any integration whatsoever. You've got to think about it like a secondary employee. And since there is no complex integration, and the way that we have developed our solution in partnership with FDI is we've got some pre-configured RPA, so you don't need to build any workflows yourselves. We've built them out for you, and we could implement and launch them in a matter of days or weeks, depending on what area of your data collection process that you are looking to automate. So this incurs a really low cost of implementation. On average, it's about a 30% cost saving, and it gives a really high return on investment. Typically between 3 to 5 months, you can really start to see the fruits of the RPAs in comparison to not having RPAs or any intelligent automation implemented. Next slide. So when we talk about the application of automation within the tax process, it's essentially where we are today. So process robotics can be applied to every area of the tax function. Mo mentioned a few, but specifically the areas where there are a lot of manual and repetitive time-consuming processes that still exists. And it can be applied to one or more systems if you're utilizing many solutions in order to work with your clients. Either you've got a silo payroll system, you've got a separate document management system, you've got a separate billing and invoicing system. It could all be utilized and interconnected in a way where you could be able to pull and push data from all of those systems and all of those processes. So they can essentially work across the data gathering, so gathering the relevant data, reviewing things like your trial balance, your invoices, income and expenses, and converting those information into tax categorized data and be able to prepare your tax return utilizing that information. And it could also, if you needed it to, look at addressing some of the tax queries to be able to allow accountants to self-serve, more so on the junior side, to be able to do that themselves instead of searching and querying information themselves. They can quickly just go into an AI tool, type in their prompts and get a response back. So what we'll do is, so I've spoken about the process around how we're utilising what RPAs are and the importance of it, but what does it look like in practice? I was planning to do a live demo, but the problems with live demo is sometimes they crash, and that's what's happened to me today. But we've got a video of what the product looks like in action, which I'll quickly play.
In this demo, a person has sent in a PDF containing loads of different personal tax documents, such as P11Ds, P60s, portfolios, all stitched together, not labelled. They could be scanned images, digital documents, and we're going to show the robot reading through this document, classifying each page, and then typing the verified data into CCH. So the first thing we do is send the robot the PDF, in this case via email, although that can be customized depending on an individual organization's way of doing things. And what the robot's going to do is then look at the PDF, classify each page, and create a nice labeled PDF for us to look through. So here we have a bank interest, the consolidated tax certificate, we have the capital gains tax calculations, all from the portfolio, P60 and a P11D, and we have this nice labeled PDF which can be used as part of a tax pack. Next, we go to the Action Center, where we can see what the robot's extracted and verify the results. So on the right hand side, we've got all the different fields here colored in. So a user just logs in, can see the different actions and make any corrections as appropriate. So in this case, there is a field missing. They clicked on the field, they click add, and that's going to go ahead and be used to train the robot in the future. And this will then be typed directly into CCH in the background. So here's a P60. Same idea, look through, make sure they're happy. On the left hand side we can see the list of different documents or tasks which can be built up, and they just spend say 20 minutes every now and then just looking through and making sure they're happy with what the robot has done. And we can customize all the different validation rules, so it's not just whether a field was there or not, but it could also be whether a certain total is there or whether two fields that match shouldn't, or anything. Here we can show how you can filter out the different fields just to make the interface a bit easier to use. The different confidence levels the robot has in each field are displayed on the left, and they will improve over time. And again, we can customize how confident the robot has to be for you to need to verify it, but at first we'll have a person verify everything just to build everybody's confidence. So here's a P11D, and then again there's just an example of making a correction if there was an issue. Now once they've submitted, the next thing is the robot in the background on a different machine is going to open up CCH and start typing that information in. The robot finds the correct client depending on whose ever document it was, and first things first, uploads the document to the document center or management system depending on what's used. In this case it's CCH's version, and either the individual documents can be uploaded for each type, or you could upload the entire tax document, all customizable. Once that part's done, the bot goes into the relevant section of a tax return, in this case for a tax certificate, and fills out the different fields. And this is highly customizable. So, for example, it could check to see if the document was there last year and update that row. If it wasn't there, perhaps that can be raised as an exception for someone to look at. Maybe there's been a change for this client, which is worth somebody checking. Or thresholds around whether the amount this year is 10 times higher than last year. All can be built in. The robot is literally controlling the mouse and keyboard to do this on screen, just going through each field, typing in the fields that were verified in the action center. And it can be doing this all day in the background. No one has to be on this machine. It just happened on a server somewhere. And the idea is that as the documents come in and they're verified, this robot will just do all the grunt work and take a lot of the pressure off the accountants. So here's we've got a P11D. First thing it does is check to see if it's the correct employer, and then it will go and have a look at the different fields and fill in them accordingly. It verifies everything it types in to make sure it's correct, so that should reduce any typing errors. Next up, it's bank interest, and we'll just skip through the part where it uploads the document and just watch it typing in the fields directly. Once again, various different kinds of verifications can be built in here. The next document we have is a P60. Once again, it will be checking the employer to make sure it's the correct one, and is capable of going through a list and finding the correct one. And again, typing in all the different data. So hopefully this demo has given you a taste for what this bot can do. We'll just speed it up here and just imagine this is doing this all night or all day in January, the busy tax season, hundreds of documents coming in, perhaps daily, and the robot could be doing this, taking away a lot of pain.
Brilliant. Essentially, that is the solution that we've built out. We have trained it so that you can chuck as many documents or data sources to it, and it will recognize the different forms. Regardless of how it's structured or formatted, it could be able to pull in the relevant tax information from that and give you a confidence score for you to also equally train the AI to be able to identify the specific tax data. So bots and AI can be a really integrated part of your workforce, working alongside people in what we like to call human in the loop. So bots can follow the instructions, and the AI can see and read the data and also learn from it to be able to perform tasks that we have trained it to do. But it's only as good as the humans who programmed them to do them. So you and I sitting in a room. So there are some elements that will still require that human in the loop. So processes and software will change. So it's critical that the accountants are able to understand the AI technology used behind the scenes, as well as the robotics, as they're going to be the most familiar with the processes. So either having a champion within your firm to be able to disseminate some of that knowledge across the business is going to be really, really key to be able to, one, train other staff, but secondly, to also be able to train the AI across new data sets, to be able to identify and also implement new process automation. So if you've got a manual step in your process that you've identified, that could be a perfect use case for utilizing AI on its own, or utilizing AI and robotics in order to close that gap. And one key thing to remember around the technology with AI and robotics is that there is one trait that machines have that humans do have, and that is the trait of judgment. So machines can only do what the human tells it to do. An accountant's ability to analyze the information, strategize against the information that they're receiving, plan and then advise business partners or their clients based off of all of that insight they've gathered is something that machines just aren't capable to do. So that is the one bit that will still rely a lot of human intervention. A lot of the other manual stuff we can chuck at robotics and AI is the validation checks, and the ability to be able to scrape documents, but that key element around judgment is still going to be quite critical to the accountants. So one thing that I hear a lot when I speak to firms, accountants, tech heads and non-tech heads is AI going to be taking my job? And it's a yes, but it's also a no. Like, AI does have amazing qualities where it could alleviate a lot of the manual burdens that we have today in our personal and work life. But at the same time, there is that element of specialisms that we can't just give to technology, that we will still have to own. And that is going to be all of the fun stuff when it comes to our roles. And that includes a lot more of the complex stuff as well. So shifting from pure compliance and data entry to more advisory work, because you're no longer doing some of those repetitive tasks. So the key benefits around automation are going to be having greater capacity. So it's the ability to get some time back, some really valued time back away from doing essentially boring data entry, and to be able to take that and automate it in a really efficient way. So you're improving the accuracy, you're limiting transposition errors, so errors when you're manually rekeying in information and you make a fat finger error. And that in turn allows you to increase the capacity in other areas where you can generate additional services for your clients and therefore generate additional revenue for your firm. And all in all, if you're able to efficiently create and prepare the tax return, you can turn it around a lot quicker. So that means happier clients, but also happier employees as well. Hopefully you'll be able to get your Christmases and New Year's back instead of having to benchmark that time or ring fence that time in order to get compliance out the door. So that is the biggest benefit when it comes to utilizing automation and implementing it within your firm. One of the key things that Mo touched on is we within Waters Clear are really keen to do more in this space and innovate quite heavily in AI and invest in AI. So we are looking to host a few discovery sessions. We're keen to work with some of our clients to understand your business processes and how we can apply AI to it, if our user cases and ideas that we're thinking of match. So if you are really excited about this area and field and want to get involved in some of the testings and feedbacking of ideas, then I highly recommend you to join our Waters Crewers Club. It's essentially a community of like-minded tech enthusiasts where you can participate in beta testing, sharing your ideas, sharing some of the things that you've seen out in the industry, and you also get to redeem points as part of it. So you're paying for your time in a good way, essentially. So yeah, if you are keen to help us advance some of the ideas that we showcase in the polls, then do feel free to join the Waters Crewers Club and or just give myself or Mo an email if you're interested, and then we can engage that way too. So we've got a few minutes left. I'm just going to pop into the chat to see if we've got any questions or any raised hands from any participants.
Yes, we've got a few Q&As and questions. So first one was, Dorcas, I don't know if you can answer this. How does this work if multiple people are sending information to be input onto multiple clients at once? Can you answer that one?
Yeah, I can answer it. So because it's a combination of AI and robotics, we're able to identify clients specifically using unique identifiers. So those identifiers could be the client code, the client name as well, first name, last name, middle name, and we could also use additional identifiers like the UTR number or the NINO to be able to identify those specific clients. A really good use case that I like to use is where you've got a large family who might have the same name. We're still able to differentiate between those specific clients. So they could be John Smith, you can have 3 or 4 of them within your firm, but because we've cross-referenced it with the client code, the NINO number and the UTR, we're able to identify the documents that are coming in for John Smith 1 and post it into their specific tax return within CCH.
Great. And then another question was, for new data on a tax return, a new employer, new bank with interest, does the bot just create a new entry, or will it search for an employer bank that is already held within Central? Obviously, we want to stop the bot creating another entry for an employer bank if it is already in Central.
Yeah, so before it updates a tax return or any information, it would always look and cross-reference and check what exists there today. And if there is existing information, it will always reutilize that, unless you've programmed the system to override any existing information that is in there. It would always go and seek whatever exists and then utilize that. So it won't add in any additional fields unless you want it to.
Great. And then in our chat, we've got a question around, Albert's seen this demo a while ago. Do we know, so how many customers, have we got a rough figure on how many customers are currently using this technology, or within us or with FD Direct as well?
Yeah, so we've got a handful of clients signed up. So is that more from a referencing perspective? I'm happy to kind of get in touch and sync you up with those customers if you're looking to see how they have implemented it and some of the expectations and journey so far.
Perfect. So yeah, Albert, I guess if you want to get in touch with your account manager, if you want to speak to some other customers that have used this, I'm sure they can organize something around that. There's a question from Leslie around what's your UK AI investment strategy? As you noticed, there's a few items live in the US. So yes, in the UK, we are committed to having AI in our products, but like I mentioned, it needs to be kind of serving a function and it needs to be improving something. And so we've got a few pilots that we've identified. So that's what one of the poll was that we started, and we'll be progressing them. So we've got active work going on around reporting and also for the tax area as well. But there'll be many more coming as well. So that's what we're looking to do. We're definitely committed around having more AI sort of technology to enhance and automate some of the things. And this with the RPA that you've seen, that's one step towards it. But there's going to be some more purebred AI investment as well coming into our products. The next question is, do you anticipate firms using this RPA AI tech stack to support 23-24 tax cycle?
Yes, we've already got some firms that have been utilizing it this year for the 2023-24 tax cycle. So we're looking to have that increase. Obviously, as we approach compliance season, the uptake for that is going to increase even more. So that's our expectation. But again, you can kind of start off small for your 2023 tax return if you want to take it up this year, and then scale completely once you've gone through the process and tested it and you're comfortable with it, to onboard your firm for the 2024-25 tax return.
Perfect. And then Victoria's put, when is piloting coming, approximate dates? I believe that's probably to do with the AI initiatives that we're running. So this, the demo that Dorcas showed, that's currently live, and you can speak to your account managers and get that now if you wanted. But in terms of the other AI pilots that we've got, there's a couple that are currently in development. So I'd probably say from September, October onwards, we'll be in a position to kind of get a small customers doing either beta or pilots on this as well. So watch this space. We'll be announcing a few more dates as and when we've kind of progressed with development a bit more further on that. Maddie has asked, how do we initiate the use of RPA? Do we have to download software, or can we just use our own company's RPA?
Yeah, so we've got the pre-configured bots that you could, it's out of the box solution that you could take with us. So what that means is you can initiate the RPAs fairly quickly. Depending on your practice, it could take a matter of days for you to go live with the RPAs, or it could take a couple of weeks. What we can do is I can get you in touch with FD just to go through the process of how we can utilize your existing RPAs that you have, and how we can incorporate the workflows that we've created and the training processes. So I'll take your name offline and we'll connect by email.
Perfect. Somebody else asked, can we, is this in CCH or is this an additional add-on? Can we use it now?
Yeah, so like we said, this is live to use. The only thing additional that you would need is essentially the RPA tool. But when you're integrating it into, and I use integrate very, very loosely, into CCH, all it is an additional user. So we are treating the bot as an employee in this case. And once you add it in conjunction with the RPA tool, it should just run in the background, so you won't need to do anything on any of the front end unless you want to actively engage with it.
Perfect. And then I think the final question is by Chris, is this priced by practice user, by client count, or by how many RPA processes are run?
Yeah, so at the moment this is priced on a per tax return basis, so per tax return and bot. So that's how we have priced it, and I think that's the most efficient way for us to go through the pricing strategy. If you do want a more detailed breakdown, definitely speak to your account managers, and they're happy to kind of talk through pricing and licensing with you.
Yeah, and I think Leslie says, can you confirm pricing per tax return? Yes, it's pricing per tax return at the moment. But what we'd say is, if there's any questions around, you want to see more specific demos, you want to speak to customers that are using this and use cases or pricing conversations, get in touch with your account manager. They'll be able to talk you through what it means. You can discuss what your requirements are, and they can talk you through all that. Do we have a cost per tax return, or is it more of a discussion with account manager, Dorcas? This question, how much roughly per tax return?
Yeah, definitely reach out to your account manager and they'll be able to give you the detailed breakdown.
Yeah.
And then I can see one more question here around how quickly does it input this information as well. It's real time, near to real time, so you can see in the back in the demo, the system is just working in the background. So if you've got 50 clients that have sent you through their documents, let's say they send it at night, the system will just be running and doing it in the background. So if you want to come in the morning, all of that information would be inputted in real time.
Yeah, so what happens if further information is sent at a later date? Does it just input the additional information?
Yeah, exactly. So it would work as a human would. So it would go in, it would read the documentation, and then it would add it to the relevant fields. Let's say a customer sent you last year's P60, sorry, sent you a P60, and the information has changed, and they've sent you a latest version of it. Then the system can go in, be able to read the data, reconcile it, and then update it with the latest information.
Yeah. There's a question, I think you answered the question about how quickly does it input the information already. There's another one around, say a husband and a wife send in info, one email document, can you identify which is which, and joint items like joint bank accounts? Does it split the income, various things?
Yeah, definitely. So it's able to identify flags, things like joint income, even if it was to send it in the same document. So a client sends you a bank statement that's just cropped, so it's stacked with all of the information that's needed. The system could be able to go through using OCR, which is optical, I forget the actual breakdown, but it will essentially scrape the PDF looking at contact keys like name, referencing that across CCH to determine who the client is. and then look at the additional contacts for the partners, and then it would also go into CCH and mark that as a joint interest or a joint property as an example. So it's really cool. It uses natural language processes as well to be able to come to that determination.
Yeah. Got a question around hardware. What hardware is required to run this?
So it's all cloud. So you'll just need your CCH essentially. Everything else, the RPAs are all in the cloud. So you won't need any physical hardware.
Perfect. Declan asked, can we get a more in-depth demo with colleague to ask further question? Absolutely. Get in touch with your account manager, book a demo. You can go through all your specific questions on there, and they should be able to talk you through like pricing, system requirements, times, all the sort of questions that are coming through. Definitely get in touch with them. You'll be able to have more of a kind of a tailored session with them as well, rather than like a quick Q&A with myself and Dorcas. Do you get a notification when the bot has finished data entry?
You can set it up, so it comes pre-configured out of the box. But again, we can sit down, talk through your requirements of what additional process steps that you would need. So if that notification step was required, then yeah, definitely we can factor that in as part of the workflow.
Yeah. Does the system fill in a timesheet, Chris, with a smiley face? So I believe, again, I can answer the question is like, what we've built here is something that just does the tax return. However, you can work with our partner, FD Intelligence, and they're the ones that have these bots. And if there's any more sort of kind of bespoke sort of requirements that go beyond the tax return, you can work with them and they can do some consulting and work that with you. Is that right, Dorcas? I've not just made that up, right?
No. That's entirely right. So the pre-configured bot that we've got is just for the data collection, and we're looking to build out more pre-configurations. But if there are any bespoke areas outside of that, then you can consult with FDI and they can help you map out what the workflow needs to be and help you implement it.
Perfect. And what's the variability on price? I think, Syra, if you speak to your account manager, they can go through the quote and explain everything. And again, it depends on like if you want the out-of-the-box solution or if you want something a bit more bespoke, which may need some consultancy days and various other things. So I think it's best to kind of speak to your account manager, get a demo, discuss what your requirements are, and you can discuss pricing at that point. Will it pick up HMRC data info?
I'm assuming the data import is directly via HMRC, i.e. connecting to the APIs. So we haven't built out those API connections yet, if that is what you are alluding to. But if the documentations, the PDFs are coming from HMRC, i.e. a PDF export, yet the system is able to read through that.
Yeah. And I think there's another question around, does it cross-check with a client's HMRC account to make sure payments on account paid, etc.? So I think that's kind of similar. You've answered there. Does it complete the tax return cover letter? Do you know that, Dorcas?
Yeah, so the tax return cover letter, so we automate it up until the data collection. And again, that's an additional area of the consultancy that we could work with FDI in order to put in that workflow. But also there's, there is additional considerations of what else we can pre-built or pre-configure out of the box.
Yeah. And then Daniel, I think next one similar to that, which is, would you be able to pick up info from our virtual cabinet as we use that as our main data hub? So again, similar thing, which is if you've got anything more bespoke than what we've been demoed, we can speak to FD Intelligence, we can put you in contact, we can have that conversation. I think start with your account manager, speak for your requirements, and they'll be able to advise what's best on whether to take what we've got from out of the box or whether you need a bit more sort of bespoke sort of interactions.
Yeah, because again, like I said, RPAs are system agnostic, so it can be connected to one or multiple systems to be able to get data, extract it, and also save digitized documents into your DM system.
Yeah. So I'm just conscious we've got a couple of minutes left, and there's a few specific product-related questions coming in. What I'd suggest is that you all speak to your account manager and you go into it, because some of them are quite specific around your requirements that are specific for your firm. But yeah, if you have anything in general around RPA, AI, any sort of questions, let us know. But if it's more product related around the demo and you want to see that, then please get in touch with your account managers and go through them, and they'll be best equipped to talk through, and you can go into a detailed conversation around the specifics of various things, if that's all right. Well, hopefully you found that intuitive and you've enjoyed that. And I really enjoyed it, and I'm sure Dorcas has really enjoyed that as well. Have a good afternoon and day, everyone, and thank you very much for joining, and hope to see you in the next one.